Boys and ladies. All right, this is Dr. John McAtamney. We're starting our meeting for the Long Island Band of Brothers. Our special guest speaker tonight is Dr. Clark Hadley. He is a second generation chiropractor, practiced in Rochester, New York. He is also on the board of the New York Chiropractic Council. I've watched Clark's development as he's come up through the ranks of the council. And I'm glad to say that there's young leadership within the chiropractic profession. Clark has done admirably, and I want to pat him on the back. He took over the council convention and made it one of the things that you can't miss. The magic is back. Clark, I want to thank you for what you guys did with the council convention this year. It was really good to come home and see what everybody was doing. So the floor is yours, my friend.
Awesome. All right. Before I start, can everyone see my screen and hear what I'm saying?
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. So like Dr. John said, my name's Clark Hadley. Second generation chiropractor, went to Life University. As you can see in this picture here, I was really blessed to be able to, while I was there, attend Dynamic Essentials, drive down to Sarasota, visit BJ's old home right next to Sid Williams' home right there in Sarasota, right in front of the Manatee Reserve. And one of the benefits of being a second generation chiropractor and being around all that is just the exposure to some of the greats from when I was a kid, some of the legacy that comes along with subluxation based chiropractic. I'm sure I could learn a lot more from everyone on this call than you guys can learn from me. But one of the most important things I've learned from you guys is that subluxation detection and correction is a sacred trust, and every generation will have to defend it. The original generation did, and every generation since has, and that's why we're still able to do what we do. And so that's why the title of my call tonight is Guard It Well. As John said, I'm very blessed to have been able to serve the council in New York basically since the day I graduated. I get to learn from some of the people that have done that for decades, and hopefully we're able to pull some more people along with me to continue guarding it as we move forward. I wanted to start God Family Chiropractic. This is my beautiful wife, Alyssa. I have 3 beautiful homeschooled free range chiropractic kids up here in New York. It's right now, unfortunately, the only way to do it the way we want to. So far, it's going great. Over there in the corner of my adjusting room, if you can see it, is the picture of their first adjustments about 30 seconds after they were born. I have that in my adjusting room for a couple of reasons. Number one, makes me happy. I like to be happy when I'm here. Number two, it opens the conversation for a lot of folks. They say, "Are you adjusting babies over there?" And it gets me the permission to talk to them about it in a way where they asked me first. I think this is a great, word phrase we all say, God Family Chiropractic. It's, to me, sometimes a little bit of a warning to remember that I do have to put those things first. We all love chiropractic so much. My wife reminds me when that is the case. Starting out, why did I become a chiropractor? This guy here on the left is my dad, Dr. Howard Hadley. He's been in practice since 1991, founded our practice all the way back then. And to his left is my little sister, Eleanor. Eleanor was born when I was 10. Right away, she was born with several issues. She has agenesis of the corpus callosum. She struggles with epilepsy. She struggles with all sorts of stuff. For the first 10 years of my life, everything was a chiropractic miracle. Everybody was healthy, no issues. We never saw the pediatrician unless it was for a sports physical. And this was really the first exposure to the medical world, just out of necessity. When my mom was pregnant, Nate told her, go get an ultrasound, something's wrong. And sure enough, it was. And without the help of the medical model, neither of them would be with us. They were able to get her out with a C-section, take care of her the way she needed to be taken care of. And it was, a test. It was a test for all of us to see how difficult things can be, but how even in those situations, chiropractic has been a tremendous value to her life. I've been, in terms of certainty in chiropractic, I don't think you're able to get too much more certainty than watching your little sister have a seizure, watching your dad adjust her sacrum and then her atlas, and then watching that seizure stop right in front of your eyes. After that, I don't need much convincing. I don't need too many double-blind studies to know that what we do affects people at a neurological level and in a really profound way. And so growing up, my brother and I, we'd look at each other and say, well, who's going to adjust Eleanor when dad's retired, when dad's gone? Somebody's still going to have to. And that was always the biggest driving factor for us was, if all I could do is go to school so I can learn to take care of my sister, that's what we're going to do. And so this is my brother and I 25 years ago out in front of our office for one of the old Kids Day America celebrations. I'm sure that pulls some memories for some of you folks way back in the day that were doing these things. We were always really involved in the office. Growing up, I worked every Saturday, several times a week as the CA. My job was to clean the fish tank. My first order of business was to get rid of the fish tank after I graduated and put in a TV instead. And so you grow up in a chiropractic office, you see the people walk in subluxated and walk out well. It's something that, unfortunately, a lot of the people I went to school with had never had that opportunity. They'd never seen the way chiropractic can impact people's life in such a simple way. In 2 minutes, you can change somebody's entire life. After I was growing up a little bit further, everyone starts to fade away from what they want to do as a kid at first. Always I'd wanted to be a chiropractor, but not until I got to Nazareth College. I was there playing lacrosse. I was actually studying for a business degree at that point. I didn't think I wanted to be a chiropractor until one of my lacrosse teammates suffered his, 20th concussion. He'd been a high school athlete for football and lacrosse. He'd had many, many concussions. Had the one that really put him down our freshman year. On the left was the x-ray my dad took on him when he finally was convinced to come with me on one of the Saturdays that I was working the front desk. Dad's an old school Gonstead chiropractor, took his nervoscope. It was his second cervical. We went back, took some x-rays. I watched the adjustment. It was one of the loudest and biggest adjustments I've still seen to this day. And prior to that, Kyle was doing everything they were telling him to do. He was in the athletic training office. He was seeing the top neurologists in Rochester and just really not improving at all. And then finally he gets adjusted, and within 2 weeks, he's back to himself. And there were still limitations, still brain injury that he had to heal from. But in terms of my friend being the light behind his eyes, it was back. When I was back visiting from chiropractic school, 6 years later, I was curious, let's get a new x-ray of your neck. And this was not after 200 visits. I think my dad adjusted him 3 times. And seeing that, how just those few adjustments in such a crucial moment can be the turning point in somebody's life where he was either going to get better or he was not. And it was pretty eye-opening to me in that moment of my freshman year of college. It changed my whole life that, I guess Dad's actually onto something here. He's doing something pretty special back in his office. And, I used to think I wanted to be a part of it, and now I know I do. And so when I was in school, I was given a few different tasks. On the left here is Dr. Herb Wood. I was really blessed down at Life University that pretty much any subluxation correction technique you want to learn, they're coming through and teaching it. He was at the hotel within walking distance of my house 8 weekends a year. We could go learn from him for 15 hours in a weekend. And Dad told me, if you're going to join the practice, you got to learn Gonstead. And so that's what I did. And like I said earlier, some of the legacy that comes with being around chiropractors that have been around the best, Dr. Herb Wood learned right from Clarence Gonstead. He showed us videos in a couple of the classes with him in the background with a big afro, and he was about 25 years old. And being around that is a level of certainty that sort of comes home with you. If you haven't gone to visit the Gonstead Clinic, I don't care if you're a Gonstead chiropractor, I hugely recommend it. Just what Dr. Gonstead was able to build out there in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin. It's about 350 people that live there. But he had an airstrip attached to his clinic and a hotel because his vision of chiropractic was so exceptional that he was able to draw from all over the world. And it's a legacy that is with me and the other people that still practice Gonstead, many, many years after he's been gone. On the right over here, I always show this as one of my favorite pictures. My dad also recommended to me while I was in school that I should learn a couple of upper cervical techniques. Over Dr. Gonstead's shoulder here is Dr. Blair at one of the old Lyceum conventions where they would come and they would get together and they would talk about the best ways to analyze the spine and correct subluxation. This pretty much signifies my practice where I'm a Gonstead chiropractor, but Dr. Blair is sort of laughing over my shoulder. I've got this toggle table here. It's funny how in a small world like chiropractic, things kind of come full circle. I saw this table for sale out in Buffalo. I went to buy it from the guy, and it actually used to belong to Ian Bulow, who I used to drive up to Sherman to learn Blair from. And so it's a small world that we operate in this corner of chiropractic, and that's in a way a cool thing because you can go learn from some of the best people that have ever done it. In a way, it's an opportunity because you can try to grow that and expand that. In a way, it's a little scary. Like I said earlier, I became a chiropractor to make sure my sister always had somebody to adjust her. I'm real concerned about my grandkids having somebody to adjust them someday. And so that's why I'm so passionate about trying to give back to the profession, about trying to be steeped in the legacy of what we do, trying to have students come watch, try to learn from us so that we can show them what a subluxation practice looks like. Because that's what's required. That's what was given to me. And so I try to pay that forward as well. This is my graduation from Life University down here, over on the generations wall. I don't know this fella up top, but this is hopefully the start of a long Hadley tradition of being chiropractors. Down at Life, one of the cool things they have is that generations wall. Many families that have had, there's some families that have had dozens of chiropractors that are all listed on this wall. And that's incredible. And my heart breaks for some of my colleagues, some of the students, especially that didn't go to schools that teach chiropractic and about our history and about subluxation. They just they're not even aware of this legacy. They don't realize what was given to us, what was given to them. And so they disparage it. They talk little about it because they've never truly been exposed to it in a way that was profound. And so, like I said, since we've been back, it's been quite a lot of fun, all practicing together here in town. It's been one of the greatest blessings of my life, being able to practice with my dad and brother and having that freedom to then give back to the profession as well. Like John said, I've had the tremendous opportunity to be the convention chair for the New York Chiropractic Council. This is a picture of our upstate Lyceum event in Niagara Falls. This was spearheaded by Dr. Steve Nemec, our district president in Buffalo. And then he and I have worked really closely together to get this to be a pretty huge event, over 100 chiropractors for the past several years. And one of the things we did when we first got started on this was talking about what is our competitive advantage to try to get people in a room. And it's the chiropractic, it's the subluxation, it's the radiology. We go over x-ray, we go over all sorts of stuff. And when you get that in front of people, people just want to keep showing up. We have on the first night, the Saturday night, we have a philosophy jam, more of a spiz jam. And, it's just a distinction that sometimes need to be made, but it's a spiz jam that Saturday night. And usually it's not everyone in this room that's there, but it's the smaller core of us that really love that sort of thing. We get together, we talk about chiropractic, the thing that we all love that holds us all together. And I think that is so essential to try to keep the profession moving forward, is to get together. I know a lot of the people on this call, you do that with New Beginnings. Something I would love to start attending. I haven't been able to make it there yet, but it's on my to-do list for this upcoming year. So I hope to see a lot of you guys there. I know for myself, during lockdown, COVID, whatever you want to call it, the scamdemic, I myself started to lose a lot of my energy. And I think it was because I wasn't able to have that togetherness with my fellow chiropractors. I was obviously blessed that I had my dad and my brother. So I was never completely alone on that island. But I know for myself, when I start feeling like I'm burning out a little bit, something like that, I got to get to a technique seminar. I have to go learn a different way to analyze things and adjust. I have to go get around the people that are essentially the Tiger Woods of chiropractic and see how they're doing things. Because when you can be around people that carry a little bit of that magic with them wherever they go, over time, it rubs off on you and you can start to bring it back with you. And for some of you that have been doing that for so many years, I just applaud you for continuing to show up. And I'm sure you're still getting something out of it yourself. But as a younger chiropractor, that every time I'm with the council at a convention, every time I'm at a seminar, it pours into me so much to be around people that have been doing it for decades, and just gives me that much more confidence to try to keep bringing this into the next many, many years of chiropractic. And so one of the best blessings of doing that convention chair is I've had the huge opportunity to bring some of my mentors out and introduce them to the rest of the people around me. This one drove me nuts. We had Dr. Herb Wood come to a Lyceum a few years ago. And after convention, he says, "Hey, I'm going to stand around for a half an hour and go over technique." And everyone ran out of the room. And it was one of those things where I understand people have flights to catch, all that different stuff. But this guy is basically the modern day, he's as close to Clarence as we're going to get. And to me, when those opportunities arise, one of the reasons I have been able to maintain relationships with so many of these different speakers, and something I'd recommend anybody does, I'm sure a lot of you do all this already, is if you're at a conference, if you're at a seminar with somebody, ask that speaker, "Hey, can I bring you out to dinner? Can I bring you out to lunch?" And just pick their brain that much more, because there's so much more you can get from just sometimes learning a little bit about who they are as a person from what you're going to get out of a 2-hour PowerPoint that they threw together on the flight over. And so it's Dr. Herb Wood. Dr. Eddie Weller was one of the presenters at our most recent annual convention. I know a lot of you guys know Dr. Weller. I've known him for a short amount of time, but he's somebody that I've really learned to respect and idolize in a very short amount of time. Up here, we have Dr. Kevin Herron, somebody who sort of taught me that you can be a subluxation-based chiropractor and still focus on athletes and still work in a world that maybe not be what we're accustomed to, and sort of learn to talk both languages and still be focused on subluxation. Dr. Dan Lyons here. It's a funny story. Like I was saying, in chiropractic, it's kind of a small world and everyone's pretty cool and approachable. The first time I met Dr. Lyons was out in Mount Horeb. I was out at the Gonstead Clinic. A couple of my buddies were trying to figure out where everyone went. We sort of drove over to the clinic, seeing where everyone was. And a Bigfoot looking guy walks out from just behind the clinic out of nowhere. And he goes, "Hey, everyone's at Firehouse Saloon. I'll hop in and show you where to go." And I didn't know that this is the guy who's, president of the Gonstead Methodology Institute. I had no idea that he's one of the people that spearheads the ICA philosophy diplomate. Really, in my opinion, now that I've gotten to know him, one of the greatest minds in chiropractic. And he just was willing to hop in a van with us and drive us to the bar so we could connect with more Gonstead chiropractors. And so I don't know how many other professions have that, where the people that are at the top are so willing to share with you, are so willing to pour into you because they got the same. Dr. Lyons talks so much about everything, all the conversations he had with Dr. Fred Barge, Dr. Troxel, Dr. Markham, who helped develop some of the X-ray analysis with Dr. Gonstead. And it's just right there for the taking. But so many people just don't even know it's available. And so you run into people that have given up on adjustment, have given up on subluxation, and they just never really gave it a chance. And that's something that really breaks my heart. One of the things Dr. Lyons is so great at teaching is the X-ray stuff. We brought him to a convention a couple of years ago when the council was fighting to defend X-ray rights, just to show how much more there is to it than ruling out red flags. Anyone that spends even a little bit of time looking at X-rays will realize there's a lot to catch there in terms of red flags, but there's a lot to catch there just in terms of analyzing the kinesiopathic portion of a vertebral subluxation. And I believe as a profession, we should do whatever it takes to defend that. And so that's why I was proud as convention chair to bring out one of the top minds in X-ray analysis to go over that. In the top right, we have Dr. Rob Sinnott. I hope you guys all know who he is. He's really one of the best philosophy minds in our profession. We're very blessed to bring him this upcoming Lyceum to Niagara Falls. If you had one book to give an aspiring chiropractor or a young chiropractor to try to learn all of philosophy in, hopefully a shorter amount of time than reading through all the green books, his textbook on chiropractic philosophy is incredible. I read that first before I started trying to read some of the other stuff, just so I could try to dial in on the basics. And it goes beyond that, and it really puts it all out in a pretty incredible way. Dr. Lyle Kocha, down in the right-hand corner here, another gentleman who came out to speak at our Lyceum convention a couple years ago. When I was in school, as a lot of students do, it's hard for you to believe that people can see high volume and still be doing high quality chiropractic care. And so my dad challenged me, all right, go out to see Dr. Kocha's office, buy yourself a plane ticket, go to Omaha, Nebraska, give him a call. He'll let you stay there for a couple of days. And he gives better care than I do to the hundreds of people he saw in that one day. And it's just one of those removal of a limiting belief that you wouldn't be able to do without going to see for yourself. And how many people have you heard say that? Like, oh, well, how are these people seeing volume and still giving good care? And they've never seen it for themselves. And certainly my practice is not tremendously high volume. I'm not to the level of scale that he is, but at least I know it's possible to still be analyzing addressing and adjusting subluxation at a very high level for the amount of people he does in his community is unbelievable. And again, like I said, all I had to do is, I think I sent him a Facebook message and he didn't even know me. And I said, hey, Lyle, I'm a Gonstead student. I'd love to come spend a couple days in your office. And he opened his doors to me. And that's something that, like I said, I don't know how many other professions have that. I think it's because they see the future of our profession needs people to see what they can do, what they're doing in their practice so that we can try to bring it to the world. And so if you're talking to young students and young docs, I beg you, please invite them to your office. If you're a place that adjusts and corrects subluxation, which I know you all are, they got to see it. They just need to see the changes that are happening in people's lives, because without it, they're just not going to buy it. And they're going to fall into the model of being a metapractor. And so, like I said, I was going through some of my old pictures, just trying to find things to talk about. And this was exactly what we're discussing now. It's the problem that chiropractic had from the beginning, and it's the problem that we have now. Chiropractic must unbrainwash the public and demonstrate that health comes from inside out. But first, we must unbrainwash the chiropractor, too many of whom have themselves not gotten the idea that the vertebral adjustment releases innate, works in harmony with innate, and becomes a partner with innate in affecting the cure. And we still have that. I was on Facebook the other day. I blocked out their names because I didn't want to blow up anybody's spot. But if you could instantly master any new skill, what would it be and why? It would be having the patience to explain to other chiropractors that subluxations aren't real. If you find that much, you may also achieve nirvana. Oof, this one's going to ruffle some feathers. And it's like, these are the smarmy jackasses that are within our own profession that are doing more harm than they could possibly imagine. And just because they've never been exposed to it. The president of the Chiropractic Council, Dr. Greg Rubenstein, says something that I really like a lot. He goes, you can't lose what you've never had. And we have a generation of chiropractors that have gone through school, maybe seen a few chiropractors and are adjusting or manipulating patients, whatever they want to call it. And they just have never been exposed to the great tradition that has been handed down to us. And at the bottom here, I know it's maybe overstating things a little bit, but it's forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They don't even know what they're disparaging because they've never been exposed to it. They think we look at x-rays just to try to sell people care plans. They have no idea that we're actually analyzing every bit about that joint so we can give it the best adjustment possible. And so this is another development that, it could be a cool thing. It could. I think if we had the right people in place, personnel is policy, chiropractic getting into a different model is going to be interesting in the education department. One of my biggest fears for my sons or my daughter becoming a chiropractor is the tremendous cost. That's, cross I'll bear for many, many more years is the student loans that have been because of the chiropractic school that I went to. I'm happy to have done it. I believe I came out of school tremendously equipped to practice. I had access to everything I needed to learn to analyze and adjust. But that's not what this school is likely to teach. The school is likely to teach, modalities and different ways to treat nonspecific low back pain, and ultimately have another rehab department in the hospitals of low paid employees that are called DCs. And that's my fear, is that the amount of people in our profession that don't even know what they're rejecting is becoming so large that something really has to be done to affect that. And I know there's a lot of things in chiropractic right now. People are shaking up different leadership things. I'm not going to get into all that. I trust the people in charge of our profession to try to protect chiropractic because it's the only choice I have. But the people that are in practice, like all of you that are, I know many of you have given back to your state associations. Many of you have given more to chiropractic than I could ever imagine. But it's also very easy to get into our practice and put our heads down because our patients love us. Our communities love us. We've done our part. But it just brings me back to what I was saying before. I know every one of you wants your grandkid and your great grandkid to be able to find a chiropractor that'll analyze and adjust them. And if we lose that now, I don't know how we get it back. And so that's my biggest fear. And so this is, without subluxation, we'll still help people with neck pain and back pain. Chiropractic, just for back pain, we can help a lot of folks. But my biggest fear is my patient here in the middle, David. David is highly disabled. David lives in an extended care facility. He's been in there majority of his adult life. Recently, he's started to really deteriorate with his vision, and that was before I met him and everything like that. His sister, Lauren, has been a longtime patient of mine. Been coming here once a month for probably the past 5 or 6 years. Initially came in for migraines. They've done better, and she's just recognized the value of staying unsubluxated for her life. And eventually one day she comes in and she says, "Hey, I was just wondering, do you think you could help my brother David?" I didn't know anything about him at the time, but if you guys get a little spizzed up before the office like I do, thinking about Sid Williams telling us to accept all patients regardless of name condition, you just say yes to that question, kind of no matter what. And so when David finally was wheeled into my office, he's strapped to his chair. It's impossible to even get him on a table. He's so locked in, he doesn't even know where he is. I was thinking, oh, maybe I'd overstated things here. Maybe I was a little out of my hands. But I did what I was trained to do. You scope, you palpate. I couldn't x-ray. And so I reviewed all the other imaging I could find from previous things he's had to make sure he was safe to adjust. And he was. He gets some of the biggest Atlas adjustments in my practice. And I've seen him maybe 7 or 8 times in the past 2 or 3 months. And then this is a letter I got from his mom a couple of weeks ago saying, "Thank you so much for the progress." He's laughing. He's moving around. He's showing more signs of life and comfort than he has in years. And without us knowing that by releasing subluxation and removing obstructions to nerve function, and if I was just saying, yeah, I probably can't help him with neck and back pain, he probably can't even tell me if his neck or back hurts, we would have never accepted him into our office. We never would have even thought that it was worth taking a look. And David's never going to have the best life, but his life can be better than it is now. And if it's as simple as adjusting him, I believe he should always have the opportunity to find somebody willing to do that. And so that's my fear. That's the one thing that I know chiropractic has that we should never lose, is that sacred trust. We have to guard it. If we don't guard it, it's going to go away. I believe every generation has a big fight. You know, the Wilkes case was the big fight then. I think another big fight's probably coming. And that means we got to gear up. We have to all have numbers. We have to have, unfortunately, finances behind us in our associations to protect it, or else we'll lose. And I ultimately think in the end, the good guys always win. And so I hope that you guys are going to be with us there on that fight. This is my favorite John Adams quote: "Public business must always be done by somebody. If wise men decline it, others will not. If honest men refuse it, others will not." And the people that least want to be involved in chiropractic politics are the people that I think we have to call on the most, because the people that want to do it maybe aren't the ones who should be doing it. And as he's saying here, you know, somebody's always going to do the job. We have to make sure it's somebody that's worth doing. And so that's my call to action for all of you. Is, I know, like I said, I don't know many of you people on the call. I'm sure you've all done more than I could imagine. But then talk to your colleagues, talk to your friends who haven't, talk to everyone that should be a member of their principled state organization. If you don't want to join and you just want to volunteer, that's fine too. If you want to be in your practice, seeing all the people you see and just want to trust everyone else to do it, just make sure the right people are there. Because if we're not doing that, somebody's going to do that job. And so this is my final call to action to you guys. And it's something I tell my dad all the time. With his ever expanding practice and the growth of the seminar business, Gonstead needed a larger facility. In 1964, the new Gonstead Clinic of Chiropractic was completed east of town. The 2-level facility boasted 29,000 square feet, 11 adjusting rooms, a complete chemistry laboratory, research facilities, and various seminar rooms. Not everybody knows this, but he was born in 1898, which means that this clinic wasn't even built until Dr. Gonstead was 66 years old. I know my dad's only 62, and he sometimes acts like he's ready to hang it up. And I go, "Dad, you're not even close. You're just getting started." This clinic that's left such a legacy for chiropractic wasn't even built until he'd already been in practice for 40 years. And that's why he had the experience, frankly, the finances and the ability to build it and leave this legacy for chiropractic. He says he didn't build it for himself. He built it for chiropractic. And I'll be traveling there this April to go to the Gonstead Extravaganza. And so I know that legacy has remained. And so I just ask everyone here, what's your legacy going to be for chiropractic in your community? And that's all I got for you guys. Does anyone have any questions or want to add anything to what I've said here? What do we got?
You're awesome, Dr. Hadley.
Thanks, Alana. Good to see you.
Good to
Great
see
to
you.
meet you down at annual.
Yes, absolutely.
Clark, I got to tell you a couple of things. First of all, your certainty is amazing. There was an old saying in Parker that says, "Your faith, confidence, and belief in your product, service, and ideas is where your certainty comes from." And you have very high level faith, confidence, and belief in your product, service, and ideas. Um, Watching how you've basically risen within the ranks of the council and how you've done things, I know that it comes from your heart. Everything that you said today was worth hearing. Don't discount your youth. You've got some wisdom here, pal. So just be aware of that. Um, the fact that you have this level of wisdom at your young age is a very big deal. So I want to thank you for that very much. Anybody
Thank
else?
you all for listening.
Yeah. Hey, Clark, you and I are both second generation. So I can tell you, your pop is very proud of you. And then what I will tell you is I'm proud to call you brother. That was phenomenal. Keep it up, man.
You were well groomed. Thanks for sharing with us tonight.
Of course.
Yeah, Clark, I always talk a lot about the apple in the tree, and the tree you came from was obviously very fruitful. So you can count your blessings for having your dad there to deliver you into our world, and appreciate all you shared tonight. You're never too young or too few years in practice to have something valuable to share with anybody that cares about what we do.
Well said.
When's the
Clark,
next
Thank
New
you very
Beginnings?
much.
somebody wanted to say something good.
Go.
Brian, you're muted still. Brian, you're muted.
You're the one who muted me.
I muted everybody.
I just wanted to say that, there's a few gray beards on this call, and we appreciate that there's a much younger generation who's going to carry the torch. And I'm glad you're a chiropractor in New York State. We need your energy. You've got phenomenal energy. And thank you for all your information, and thanks for standing up for chiropractic.
Thank you. It's my honor.
You know, you brought up the.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, Clark, you make reference to some of the graybeards here being around for so long, but you've got so much certainty and conviction, and you're, coming through as a second generation chiropractor. You've got at least as much, if not more, wisdom than any of us combined. And it's great to see that you're in a position to be able to make this kind of a difference in our profession. So I tip my hat to you, buddy.
Thank you.
Joanne, I think you wanted to say something.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
I did. I said
Perfect.
he was very well groomed, and I really, it was great hearing it.
Excellent. You know, you're aware of this because you came from a school and what they're doing down there. As I tell people, I went to New York. We did not get philosophy when I was there, except for the first semester with the Giacomo. But you can, Dr. Bard used to say, the field of practice graduates a doctor. You have to basically, one of the things we have to do, and that's part of this whole thing, is keep the story alive, keep telling the story about the dangers of subluxation and what it does to the body. That's why that was the purpose of my talk when I did for Saturday Night Live a couple of weeks ago. The other thing is being aware of our responsibility to the profession is not only to give back, but to give forward, sending people to schools, sending people to schools that are going to grow the right chiropractors. That's why I'm doing a student recruitment event tomorrow with Life University. But the idea is that we need to grow more young doctors like yourself who basically come from a certainty that when they get into practice, they realize that it's their responsibility to guard the trust. So I want to thank you for that. Anybody else? All right, Clark, you hit the ball out of the park, man. Thank you very much.
Well
Give your
done,
dad a big
sir.
high five. Give your dad a big high five for me. I'd love to see him again soon. And keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, hope to
Great
see a lot
stuff.
of you guys
Thanks,
soon.
Clark.
Thank you,
Clark.
guys.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Johnny.
Bye.
Good night,
Everybody
guys.
have a good night.